All right, folks. Well, let's go ahead and dive in. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you're calling in from. My name is Angel Elliott. I am Director of Organizational Development here at SunWest, and I am pleased to introduce also the man, the myth, the legend, CEO Pavan Agarwal. Pavan, do you want to go ahead and say hello to the group?
Hello, everybody. Thanks for giving me your afternoon. Appreciate the support and attention. We got an exciting presentation here today. Like I said, I was saying a little bit earlier today, that right now I am in Austin, and just evangelizing and spreading the word of SunWest to realtors all over the country. And the whole point here is to get the message out so that when you walk into a real estate office wearing a SunWest shirt and a SunWest card, realtors know that the brand means something, that the brand is there to protect them and to protect their customers. So with that said, I'll hand it over to Angel, and she's going to talk about the SunWest Advantage and the tools and technology that we offer that makes all this possible. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you. Just to confirm, you see my screen now? Okay, perfect. Well, let's go ahead and dive in. Again, as Pavan said, we're going to be talking about the SunWest Advantage and what really sets SunWest apart from everywhere else in the industry. And, you know, I could list a bunch of things, but it all comes back down to our technology. So we'll talk about all of the different ways that SunWest is different, but you'll notice that theme threaded throughout our call is everything that sets us apart comes back down to our technology. Up here, this is a statement from Pavan himself. I won't read it word for word, but the message really is that our goal for our originators here at SunWest is to allow them to really focus on what they do best, what you guys do best, which is, you know, getting out there, building relationships with clients, with referral sources, you know, attending events, everything that's going to go into getting the application in, and then not take up your time with everything that comes after, which is what we call the manufacturing process. And the reason why we have that mentality and why we can support that idea is our technology. So all of our systems that we use that you'll hear me talk about today are proprietary. We designed them all from the ground up, and it's all very advanced. So we have AI built all throughout our systems to support automations and make the process go really smoothly without our originators having to really, you know, babysit and interact with the files every single step of the way once the application is submitted. So that way you really can be focused on building your business while you feel confident that your files are moving smoothly and swiftly to closing. So our technology that we're going to talk about would mean nothing without results. So we're going to start by just talking about the results. Up on the screen here, these are our stats, literally hot off the press, you guys. This came out last night. So 99.8% of our loan submissions, and that's pre-approvals and true loans with properties, everything goes direct to underwriting, and 99.8 receive their conditional approval by 8 a.m. the next morning. And that is not just your super clean, easy cookie cutter loans. That includes loans with FICO scores under 620. So out of that pool of all of the loans we did in the past 100 days, 32.7% were for borrowers with FICO scores under 620. And we still met that 8 a.m. approval turn time. Down payment, lower down payments, 5% or less. Almost 49% of those loans had that smaller down payment, 5% or less. First-time buyers, those can be a little bit more complicated or a lot of bit more complicated as well. Over 52% of these loans were for first-time home buyers. So you can see with the technology that we have in place that you're going to get a glimpse of here today, it really doesn't matter whether it is a easy cookie cutter loan or if it is one of those more complicated deals. And that's why we can say we're the home of fair lending, because it really doesn't matter the borrower's situation. When you have AI doing the origination, walking the loan through the whole process, it's based on rules. The AI reacts based on the guidelines and the rules that are programmed in. So we can support these same turn times regardless what type of file it is. Our condition review it's fast and it's getting faster literally every day. So almost 100%, 99.5% of our conditions are reviewed in under an hour and a half. 95% are done in under an hour, and 70% are done in actually 40 minutes or less. So that turn time of condition review is continuously being chipped away at, and we're committed to continuing to do that. It's the AI getting smarter and faster literally every single day. So you maybe, Pavan, did you have something to say?
Yeah, if you go back a slide. So I think a couple of things I want to differentiate between the SunWest Way and other lenders is when we say approvals by 8 a.m., that means you as a loan originator, if you took an app right now, and this is, in the West Coast, this is only 11 a.m., you would likely get from that app to approval, you like to get an approval by the end of the day. If you took an app in the evening, which is when most customers are active and asking for pre-quals and getting ready to go house shopping, if you took an app this evening, 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, you will get guaranteed, even that late in the day, you would get an approval by 8 a.m. tomorrow. So by Friday morning, you would get that approval. And this is a fully underwritten approval. This is not a DU only, real quick, slap something together. No, this is completely done. And this is an approval that we stand behind that we call true approvals. So after that approval is issued, it's a full conditional approval and it will not change. That's our guarantee. So there's literally no processing. It goes straight from your loan application to underwriting, and the system automatically puts the file together. So that's it.
All right, so you saw those small percentages. I think, what was it? Let me go back one more time. The 0.02% that didn't hit that 8 a.m. mark, or the 0.05% of conditions that didn't get reviewed in under 90 minutes. So our AI is still learning, and that's kind of the beauty of it, right? Is that it can continue to learn as new types of situations arise. So when you see that small percentage, here are some of the reasons. And it's when the AI hits a scenario that is new, complex, it hasn't seen before. It hasn't been programmed into the AI, or the AI hasn't learned it. So these could be things like documents that are in foreign languages, situations where a borrower had 2 or 3 jobs with across multiple employers in the past year or two, borrowers that have their own business, self-employed income, and they have multiple. Things like that do take the AI a little bit more time to analyze if it hasn't run into that scenario before. So that's where you see the small percentage of the SLA being a little bit different. Borrowers that have their own business. So this is a question that I hear a lot when we talk about our SLAs, because let's face it, it does sound pretty unbelievable. It sounds too good to be true. So the question inevitably is, okay, well, at what volume does this stop? what volume can be supported with these SLAs? And the answer is up to 4 times the volume that we're doing today. So we can maintain those same service levels while quadrupling today's volume. And that there isn't a cap on that either. That's just with our current staff. Because as you guys know, the cost of doing business goes into the pricing of your loans, right? And so to keep costs down, our AI is working hard. Our engineers are working hard to continuously develop the AI to support the work that it's doing in place of salaried employees. So in order to support loans, once we pass that 4 times quadruple mark, we would just add 3 employees to our core staff to support 50 more loans a day. So we really are scalable with this technology to grow infinitely in the future. Pavan, was there anything you want to add to that?
No, I think, if someone really looks at these numbers, so that's like 17 loans per person, per FTE. And that is a remarkable number. I don't think it's ever been achieved in this industry. And I think the best companies maybe had 2 or 3 loans per FTE. So that's 50 additional per day. So that's like almost like 100 million of additional production a day coming in. We would only need to add three people. And what does that mean to you? It means that your turn time guarantees are there forever. It means that if there's a sudden refi boom tomorrow, your purchase business isn't going to suffer. Your referral partners aren't going to suffer because your lender's backed up on refis. And you've all seen that happen in the past with other companies. It just won't. It won't and does not happen here. Go ahead. Back to you, Angel.
All right. So for you as an originator, what does all this mean? It means you can do to your volume what your tools will support. So right now, you guys, I don't have to tell you how valuable your time is. You're all very busy. You're bringing the business in, you're building relationships with your clients, you're trying to build a sustainable pipeline for your future business, while also making sure that your loans get delivered on time in a way that creates a good experience for your clients. You're only one human being, and that is why you need AI, because the AI can multitask like no other. So you can only be as productive as the tools that you use. So at SunWest, we give our originators the tools that they need to be as productive as they want to be. It's really up to you how much business that you want to do, but the technology can support it. So the more business you bring in, the more your production is going to be. There's no limit to that. All right. So you've seen the Use Morgan ads. You see it in Pavan's background. You see my super cool t-shirt here. So what is Morgan? Well, you're here, so you got a taste of Morgan already. You're watching this live stream right within the Morgan system. So you can already see by design how simple the system is to use. You guys didn't need any training to get here, right? You went to usemorgan.com and you said, I want to watch the demo, and here you are. That's the gist of it. If you can type in that text field and read the response from Morgan, you know all you need to know to use the Morgan system. There's some additional really cool features within Morgan that help support even more efficiency. But if you can send a text message, if you can use instant message, you can use Morgan. So Morgan's a URL. Use morgan.com on your desktop or any mobile device. So makes it very accessible wherever you are, whatever type of device you have, you can use Morgan just the same. Morgan is our AI assistant. I always hesitate to call it that because we think initially of Siri, we think of Google Assistant, and you could say it's the same basic concept, but Morgan is going to be much more useful for you. With those other assistants, you have very specific things that you can ask it. You have to ask in a very specific way. The Morgan technology can help you with anything and everything that has to do with mortgage or SunWest or any combination of the two. And you will get an answer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you are doing a loan with SunWest, Morgan can actually work on your loan for you. So I talk to loan officers all the time. You'll see, if you follow any SunWest loan officers on social media, you'll see them say, I don't even log into the LOS most of the time, because anything that they need to do, they can do from their cell phone by just messaging Morgan, checking statuses, changing loan products, adding borrowers, removing borrowers, generating CDs, anything that they need to do, Morgan can do for them just by sending a quick message. So a little bit about the Morgan technology, how it works, and what to expect. Because now that you guys are in Morgan after this call, hopefully you'll stick around and play with Morgan a little bit more. So as I mentioned, the AI in Morgan is always learning. So if you're asking a question that the AI already knows, which there is an insane amount of data already programmed into the AI, you're going to get an answer pretty instantaneously. Other times, as the AI learns, Morgan will give you an ETA. So if you're asking a question that either the AI has not learned yet, or maybe it's something that requires some analysis, like you've sent it some tax returns and said, hey, do the income calculation, Morgan's going to give you an ETA. Now, that said, you don't have to just stare at the screen until that answer comes up. You can ask Morgan more questions, or you can put the phone down, close the window out, and move on with your day. Morgan will send you a text message and an email when the answer is ready for you. So you can just click on that link, the Morgan conversation will open right back up and you'll have your answer. So why would I ever get an ETA? As consumers, myself included, we're used to going to Google and typing in a question, and we get millions of responses instantaneously. Because what Google has done is they've taken all of those keywords and they spit out anything and everything that matches one or more of those keywords. So then it's up to us to sift through all those answers and see what is the answer I was actually looking for. And then we have to take it a step further, because anyone can put anything on the internet. So it's also up to us to verify that answer. So Google, instant answers, but it's a million of them. We have to sift through and verify. Conversely, when you're using Morgan, you might get an ETA rather than an instant answer, depending on that question you've asked, but you will get one answer back. And one of the beautiful things about Morgan is SunWest stands behind any answer she gives you. So you also don't have to take the time to take that extra step and verify the answer you got. All conversations are stored on our server. So even if you cleared out your browser history, you lost that conversation, we can still find that conversation. And anything that Morgan tells you, we will stand behind. It doesn't come up a lot. Morgan has a pretty great track record, but if she were to give you an answer that turned out to be incorrect, she did an income calculation and somehow overstated the income, we will use that income calculation. We'll fund with our own cash if we have to. That is how confident SunWest is in the Morgan technology. Is there anything you want to add, Pavan, about like accuracy rates? I know you have some cool data on that.
Yeah, well, I think the most important thing about it is that we warrant Morgan's answers. So you give it whatever the most complex tax return scenarios, W-2s, and Morgan will give you, as you said in the other slide, it will review documents in under an hour. Right, so 95+% of the documents that you give to Morgan are done in under an hour, 70% in under 40 minutes. So whatever it comes back to you is final, and it's right to the agency guidelines. There's no overlays. It doesn't do it, it doesn't do it extra conservative or extra liberal. It's right on the money, and that's why we give the warranty. So the way the warranty works is Morgan, you give a documents, Morgan gives you an answer, says the income is 5,000. For example, $5,000 a month. Then you continue, and you submit the loan, and it will be 5,000. Right, and even if Morgan made a mistake and it was really only 4,500, we will honor that 5,000. We stand behind what Morgan says, and then you wonder how is that possible? As well, it's because I'll put my checkbook behind it. Right? So if it's wrong, I'll scratch and dent the loan. It's never wrong. Been doing this for years. Morgan's been in production internally for the past 4 years almost now. It's never wrong. So I'm more than willing to write that insurance policy. So think about it from your perspective as an originator. You can talk to wherever whatever lender you work with now or in the past, you can talk to that underwriter, the best underwriter in the world. But no, that underwriter will never tell you that, okay, whatever I say now is warranted and I will stand behind it. I challenge you to find an underwriter anywhere in the country that will say, based on the documents you submitted me, it's this, and I stand behind it. That I'll write the check if I'm wrong. Right? Never happens. No underwriter will ever say that. No lender will ever say that. We say that because we have the technology to be able to deliver that. So think about how easy that makes your life. There's no oh, oops, buts, reshuffling, restructuring, whatever. It's not your problem. You get an answer from Morgan. It's final. It's done. You move on.
Yeah, it's like a DU underwriter right next to you, right? At your fingertips, except like you said, they'll guarantee the answer.
Exactly.
They'll never go back.
Even if you had an underwriter next to you, the underwriter doesn't have the money, doesn't have a checkbook to guarantee the answer. Right.
Yeah. And they also sleep, right?
They also sleep. Yes.
So Morgan, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She's never out sick. So you get that answer 24 hours a day. Anytime you're working, Morgan's there. So let's take a look. What does the system look like? Well, you guys are in it right now watching, right? But here's an example of one of the additional features I mentioned. You can click on that little paperclip icon right next to your text field, and you can actually attach documents. So you can give Morgan documents, and there are 100 different ways you could use attachments, up to your imagination. But one of the ways, and what I'm doing in this example, is I attached a couple of years of tax returns. So I'm asking Morgan, hey, do this income calculation for me. I might ask her, hey, can you review this document before I upload it? It's like having an underwriter review your document before you even put it in the file if you want to. And then you could say, okay, great, go ahead and upload it into the file. But for this income calculation, I sent a couple years of tax returns. And then look at this, she sent this big long explanation back. So we'll break it down here. So she gave me what I wanted. She gave me the income calculation. She said, okay, borrower's income's $9,966. The usable income out of that is $8,822 and some change. She let me know what documents I would need in order to verify the income. But she took it a step further, and I think it's really important to highlight this because that first paragraph there, you see, she gave me what I asked for. I asked for income calculation, she gave it to me. But she reviewed these documents the way a live underwriter would. She took it a step further and said, there's an additional concern here to note. Essentially what she's telling me here is my borrower is employed by their spouse's business. So in order to use the income from a family-owned business, we're going to need these additional things. So she didn't just stop at telling me what I asked for specifically. She went above and beyond, reviewed the document the way a live underwriter would, and let me know what I would need to know to set the expectation with my borrower. All right.
One thing I'll add there, if you go back a slide. One more. Yeah. So when you're using Morgan on the desktop, all you have to do, you could either hit the paperclip button, or you could just drag and drop any PDF or image file from your computer onto the Morgan chat window, and it uploads it automatically. And that's like a really convenient feature, because often like you're in Outlook and you have an attachment and you want to give it to Morgan, so you just grab it from Outlook and you just drop it into Morgan, and then she has it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so that's desktop. On mobile, you bring up a good point. On mobile, you actually have, as one of the upload options, a little camera icon. It'll open up your mobile device camera. If you physically have the document in front of you, just snap a picture and give it to Morgan. So you don't have to scan it, put it on your computer, and then give it to Morgan. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up mobile device. I get this question a lot. Is it an app? And actually, it's something called a progressive web app. So this is the latest technology. There is no app. It runs in the web browser, and it does everything that an app would do, except in a web browser. And why do we design it that way? Is so that you don't have to install anything, so that you can run it anywhere and quickly get to the information you need when you need it. So if you look on, I put out a social media post yesterday on LinkedIn. One of our top producers actually set out a CD using Morgan on our Tesla. Right. That's the beauty of it just being completely app independent, is it works anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, that's a good point, because on a Tesla, if there's not a specific app for that, she wouldn't have been able to use it. But because she can go to her web browser, she can. So literally any device. You have a smart TV that has a web browser, you can use Morgan on your TV. So very, very cool. All right, so you guys are in Morgan watching this right now. And I know you've probably been very distracted this whole time looking at my cool t-shirt and thinking, where on earth did Angel get that super cool t-shirt? So I'm going to give you the chance now to get one for yourself. So you are in Morgan watching this. You could also pull out a different device, go to usemorgan.com. and just tell her, I want a t-shirt. So in this window right now, in that text field down there, just tell Morgan, I want a t-shirt. She's going to get your information to be able to send you a t-shirt. It's free, and then you'll be part of the club. Next call we're on, we can all match. You can also ask her some different things. I'll give you some examples of things that you could ask. What is the max LTV on an FHA cash out refi? So if you're talking to a borrower, they want to either looking to just refinance, or they need to do some work on their home, they're consolidating debt, whatever it is, they want to do a cash out. Okay, what's the maximum amount they'd be able to get? Here you can see I asked Morgan that, and she told me it's 80%. Okay, back to that guarantee. if Morgan had said it's 75%, guess what SunWest is going to do? Give your borrower that loan at 75% LTV. Oh, you're muted, Pavan.
I think a better example is the other way around. If Morgan had said 85 instead of 80.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. That's way better. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah.
90%.
Yeah. SunWest would have, whatever Morgan says, SunWest would have honored it.
Yes, when it's in your borrower's favor. Yeah, so scratch my example.
But obviously the catch there is you have to submit the loan to SunWest.
Right. Yeah, we have no control over what other lenders will do. Here's a question that gets a little bit more technical. So the reason I put this question up is, sometimes, again, we're used to those other virtual assistants where there's certain things we can ask and it has to be asked just the right way. Talk to Morgan like you're talking to another human being. It actually helps the AI get faster and better every day, the more different types of ways that people ask questions and talk to it, because it helps the AI learn more and more about the nuance of our language and how we speak. So you can ask Morgan as specific of a question, as off the wall of a question as you have. You could even go into more detail about this specific question. What if they were getting their bonus in the form of stocks for the past 3 years and now they're taking it in cash? And you can really get into the nitty gritty and Morgan will help you out. I actually just asked this question on Morgan. Let me show it over here. So you can see I was just on Morgan. I asked that question and she told me the answer. Yes, that income can be used. And then she gave me all the details, how much of it we could use, what documentation that I would need, how much history the borrower would have needed of this income. So now I have all the details. If I'm talking to my borrower and we're trying to figure out if that bonus stock income can be used, I've got all the information. So those are just some examples of questions that you can use Morgan. But again, the sky is the limit. Your imagination is the limit. Anything to do with mortgage, and SunWest or anything in between, Morgan can answer for you. As I mentioned earlier, if you are doing your loan with SunWest, she can also help you do things on your loans. So if you need to make any changes, you need to check on anything, request anything on your loans, you can do it right through Morgan. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the process of originating a loan at SunWest. As we've been talking about, it is very different from any other mortgage company because of this technology that you're seeing. So I mentioned at the top of the call, we really try to take as much off of our originators' plates as possible so that you guys are focusing your time and energy on building your business. So at SunWest, when you're submitting a loan, you get the application in or your borrower applies online, you run credit, you upload documents. The only documentation that's really critical for an underwriting decision is income and asset documentation. But you just throw that in and give it to Morgan, however your borrower gives it to you. If they give you a bunch of documents all in one PDF and half of them are upside down and they're not in sequence, just give it to Morgan. Don't spend your time organizing it, separating them, labeling them, none of that. Give it to Morgan. Let the system take care of it. The system's going to OCR scan the whole PDF, separate documents, label them, organize them. So you don't need to worry about that. So that upload step, that's 5 seconds of your time. Make sure your borrower's completed e-consent and then you submit. And believe it or not, once you've submitted, your responsibilities on that file are done. Our technology is going to take it through to funding. So when you submit, you either ask Morgan to submit your loan, or you do that with a button in our system called the processor. And when you hit that processor button or you ask Morgan to submit, a bunch of things happen, and they happen really quickly. So all of your setup tasks are done in under an hour, and the loan is with underwriting. Disclosures prepared and sent. Any third-party services that are going to be required get ordered. CAVERS is run at that point. If you haven't run AUS, because that's, if you notice, not one of your required tasks, you can, but AUS would be run at that time. All your setup tasks are completed and the file goes direct to underwriting. And that is the same on any type of file, whether it's a true loan or pre-approval, a TBD. On your pre-approvals, you can actually request at this time an early check for a property inspection waiver. So it's a pre-approval. We don't have a property. There's no purchase contract. But if your borrower has a property in mind, or maybe you're working with a realtor partner and they have some properties they're going to show the borrower, enter as many as you want, give as many as you want to Morgan. Morgan will do a check to see if the borrower was to get under contract for that property, would we be able to grant a property inspection waiver? So that way you, the realtor, your borrower know going into making an offer, will we have an appraisal condition on the file? If not, your borrower can choose to make an offer without an appraisal contingency. So you submit your file direct to underwriting, and as we saw at the top of the call, by 8 a.m. the next morning, you've got your conditional approval. So that's a pre-approval here at SunWest. They get a letter, they can go shopping, but we don't stop there. So it's at that point your loan coordinator gets involved. Every loan officer has their own dedicated loan coordinator, and that loan coordinator's whole job is to chase down conditions, and they're very good at it. They're all bilingual, English and Spanish. They're going to work with your borrower, give them the needs list, help them get their conditions in. They're also continuously following up on third-party conditions to make sure we don't see any delays on that side. On your pre-approvals, once your borrower has turned in all of their conditions, then that pre-approval turns into what we call, you heard Pavan talk about earlier, the true approval. TRU, it stands for thoroughly reviewed and underwritten. It means we're done with the borrower. So this is a pre-approval transaction. We don't have a property, but the borrower has been underwritten. They've provided all of the documentation we need. We are done with the borrower. They get a new letter. It's the true approval letter. It says right on it, this is a conditionally guaranteed approval. They can now make offers that compete with cash offers. They can make an offer with no financing contingency because they know they're already completely approved. Circling back to that early PIW check, if we know we can grant a property inspection waiver, now they can make that offer without any financing or appraisal conditions. And then once we do get that property under contract, we're moving right through to closing. So again, that whole process I just talked through, use the originator, get the application in, run credit, upload your income docs, move on to the next. And the system does the rest. It's pretty amazing. So we mentioned true approval. We also do the lock and shop. So especially in today's market, this is a really popular thing to be able to offer to borrowers and for your realtor partners to know about. You can actually lock in the rate on a TBD for up to 90 days. There's no additional fee to that. It's whatever the pricing would be for a 90-day lock on a loan with a property. So you can make sure that your borrower's rate is safe as they continue to shop. We talked about the early PIW check and our turn times. So 8 a.m. approvals on your loans. 1 hour or less condition review time. So things move fast, folks. Hold on to your hats. Product wise, we do have a really wide variety of products that are available. It was mentioned earlier, all of our agency products, we have 0 overlays. And you can count on that because remember, it's AI doing that underwrite. And how does that work? The guidelines get programmed into the AI, and that's how it evaluates the file. So you don't have any underwriter having a bad day reviewing your file and being a little bit more picky than they may have been on a sunnier day. The AI is underwriting your file strictly to the agency guidelines.
And that's the advantage of being bald, because I never have a bad hair day.
Down payment assistance programs. We have a ton of local programs out there. That'd be another great thing to check with Morgan. Say, hey, Morgan, tell her where you're licensed and ask her what DPAs are available here. And Morgan will give you a whole list of what we have available in that area. If you want to see the guidelines, she'll give you the guidelines. Renovation, rehab loans. We're actually one of the largest providers of reverse mortgage in the country, which is a very popular product in this market. Jumbo loans, we have the 3-2-1 and the 2-1 buy down on FHA, VA, and conventional. So that's another thing that's getting popular in the market today. But a very wide variety of products that are available for you to be able to support your borrowers.
Yeah, and like there's been some negative news lately of reverse mortgages. One of the reverse mortgage lenders just went into bankruptcy. We've been doing reverses since 2004. Seen every cycle. We love the product. We know how to manage the risk. We're very good at it. So all of this market turbulence doesn't affect us. And that's really important, that you have a partner who is going to be steady and consistent, regardless of which way the markets swing. Because you want to make sure that when you take that loan application and you originate that loan, your lender is there for you by the end of that application. You're not scrambling and shopping that around. And we've seen that happen a couple of times this year already, both on reverses, on non-QMs, and so forth. We've honored every one of our locks. And we can do that if you plan and risk manage correctly. You're never in that situation where something, where your capital markets is over a barrel. Okay. So we've been through this in 2008. We've been through the currency, Russian bond crisis in the 90s and the 80s. Like I said, we started when interest rates were 19%. Been through this in 2020 when lenders were collapsing left and right with the COVID crisis. Every single lock, every single loan went through and closed, and every commitment always honored. And that's what you really need to look for when you partner with a lender.
Servicing, we do, continue to service the majority of our loans. It's a really small percentage of non-QM that's not included in that, but everything else we continue to service. And there's a lot of advantage to that. One, we can make sure that your borrower continues having a good experience even after closing. You're not rolling the dice on where is this loan going to be serviced for the rest of the time they have this loan with SunWest. If you look up our servicing team, they have awesome reviews. They're an amazing team. So your borrower is going to remain in good hands. And that's important for your ongoing relationship, because you want them to come back to you the next time they need a loan, to recommend you when their cousin needs a loan officer. Also, by servicing our loans, like you're seeing on the screen, at the very top of every mortgage statement, your picture and your contact information. So you are staying top of mind. They always have your contact information. So whenever they need you, they can get a hold of you. We also have a phenomenal marketing team. So if you are coming on board as a retail loan officer, anything you need marketing wise, they are totally at your disposal. We have content writers, video editors, graphic designers. Of course, we have a ton of off-the-shelf stuff that can really quickly be customized with your information. But what I think is really cool is the custom work. So if you have, something that's unique to your community, or there's an event that you're doing, maybe you want to take a unique angle on something, you just let marketing know what the vision is, and in 24 to 48 hours, you'll have your product compliance reviewed, everything.
So here's a trick question, Angel. So how do you let marketing know?
Well, I go to use Morgan.
Exactly.
Yes, that, especially for new loan officers coming on board. I mean, I love Morgan for many reasons, but you don't have to worry about, who do I go to for what department do I call, what's their phone number, what's their email, who handles what. The answer is always Morgan. Just go to Morgan. We call Morgan people powered technology, because 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if you're asking for something that the AI isn't programmed, it's not a loan question or a request, it's a marketing request, it's a IT request. I use Morgan for all of my IT requests. If I need something, hey Morgan, this is going on, she'll have IT remoted into my computer. So it's the AI technology working in partnership with real live humans to make Morgan your one-stop shop 24/7. So if you have a marketing request, ask Morgan. She's going to loop in someone live from marketing in the chat. You'll be in a three-way chat with yourself, Morgan, and someone from marketing. A perfect example, like I told you, order your t-shirts. That comes from marketing. Let's see. Oh, this one's always a fun one to share. You get your money fast. So once we get final confirmation of your loan funding, commission is in your account within 24 hours. When you're first coming on board, if you're waiting for your license to transfer and you work with what we call a transitional loan officer, anytime there's like a split commission, some sort of a deviation from the norm, then you will get your commission on a regular pay date, which is the 7th or the 22nd. But once you're up and running, your license is transferred, that's when that 24-hour thing kicks in. So you have access to that money right away, which I think just about everyone loves. I haven't run into many people that say, no, don't pay me yet.
And I think this is important, because not just because it's good to have cash flow, but it also shows that we trust you, and we want to earn your trust. So you don't have to worry about is my money going to be there. And look, this isn't for everyone. Sometimes an LOEs. And you may come here, you may be here for a couple of years, and you may decide, hey, I'm going to start my own shop, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Okay, we will treat you as well, if not better, on your way out as on the way in. And this is evidence of that. We just hired a loan originator recently in South Texas. And he's over barrel because his previous lender is refusing to pay him out on his deals for like 6 months or something, right? And that's putting him in a bad spot. So we're gonna help him out. But that's not the way it should be done. There's got to be mutual respect, and we firmly believe in that mutual respect. And this is evidence of that. This is how you know that it's going to be there.
Well said. And beyond your excellent comp here, there's more ways to make money. So if you did decide to come on board, you get settled in and you have friends, colleagues in the industry that you think this would also be a really great fit for, you just let us know. If we do end up bringing them on board, you will get 10 basis points on every single loan that they close forever and ever, as long as they're with us. It doesn't come out of their pricing. This is from the company. This is a thank you. You don't have to manage them. This is just a thank you.
One correction, as long as, of course, they're with us and you're with us.
Oh, yes. All right, so we talked about the technology and how it supports the whole process. And one thing I mentioned, if you didn't catch earlier, is that by utilizing so much AI and automation and high tech systems, we don't have the same overhead as any other mortgage company when it comes to operations staff. We also are a very flat organization. As you can see here, our senior leadership up to our CEO is very involved. It's because they are also loan originators. So it allows them, it puts them in a unique position that you don't see very many places, that they can work directly with our loan originators, and they do. So we don't have to have all those layers of management, which, by the way, is also very expensive. So being a very flat organization, it has a ton of benefits, one of them being a cost savings. So all of this cost savings that I'm mentioning, I'm mentioning it because it directly impacts you. It impacts your customers through your pricing. So let's look at an example, and there are some ranges here because, of course, we're looking at all other mortgage companies, right? But you have a corporate take. At SunWest, it's just 50 basis points across the board. Your comp, you do have a choice there. So depending on, you know your clientele best. Do you want to have a little higher comp and possibly do less volume? Do you want to do the most volume possible with the lowest rates possible and take a little lower comp, and the volume offsets that? It's really up to you. You know your business best. But for this example, we're just going to go with 150 basis points across the board. Management layers, like I just mentioned, we don't have any. So that cost is 0 basis points, where most companies you're going to be looking at an additional 75 to 150 basis points into your pricing right off the bat. Our fulfillment expenses, again, because of the AI and the advanced technology, all of the automations, our fulfillment expenses are exceptionally low, especially when you look at the rest of the industry, where it's 50 to 75 basis points into your pricing versus our 20. If you have brick and mortar expenses, you're looking at 7 to 10 basis points. So you can see, depending on where your current company falls in some of those ranges, you're looking at an additional 158 to 258 basis points in your pricing. And that's huge, especially in the market we're in today. That can mean the difference in your borrower being qualified for the loan that they want, the home that they want to buy or not. Was there anything that you wanted to say about that, Pavan?
No, I think it takes a while for this to sink in. I've talked to a lot of originators, and it is an eye opener. So really think about this. I know you'll have a lot of questions, and feel free to call us afterwards or ask Morgan any questions you have about pricing and how it works. Feel free to ask Morgan. If you go to sunwestpartners.com, you can see our pricing is in real time. It's the actual pricing. It's your actual retail pricing is there, and is public, it's transparent. You don't ever have to worry about getting a recruiting rate sheet. That's what other lenders do, is when they're recruiting you, they show you one rate sheet, and then 3 months later, it's a whole different rate sheet, and they slowly widen the pricing out on you. You know that can never happen here because it's public, and you can always test your pricing against what's out there and publicly available. So you know there's nothing hidden. There's nothing behind the sheet. And again, that goes back to trust, transparency, and honoring our word and our 42-year history of doing that. And there's no reason for us to hide anything. We're so efficient, so clean. There's nothing to do. So go ahead and check it out. Check out SunWest Partners, and you can also ask Morgan any typical questions you would ask a recruiter, or you would ask a regional manager about whatever it is about, what will the job be like. So go ahead, Angel.
Absolutely. So as Pavan said, you can go to SunWest Partners, check out the pricing. You're also able to get a login to use our pricing tool if you're interested. So we don't use Optimal Blue, anything like that. Our pricing engine is proprietary. It's very easy to use. So if you guys are interested in getting a pricing login so that you can, check out apples to apples with where you're at, get a feel for the pricing engine, just let Morgan know and we'll get you set up. But you'll see I really like this tool. It's very intuitive, easy to use. You can, if you're doing your loan with SunWest, you can lock, relock, extend your lock all right there within the tool. And on that note, we do allow you to lock 24 hours a day. So with that, I know we have covered a lot today, and look at that, 11:59. It's like we planned it. But just to recap a little, SunWest is a very solid company. Family owned, privately owned for over 42 years now, very strong capital, absolutely no debt. Our originators work directly day to day with our senior leadership, including Mr. Agarwal himself. So they can make sure, anything comes up, it's taken care of right away. And they're also in that position to look at the process as a whole and say, why did this come up? So it can be fixed right away. So we're continuously growing and evolving. Our underwriting, it's fast, it's consistent, it's reliable, it's 24 hours a day. And as you've seen, and hopefully will continue to see if you check out usemorgan.com, we really lead the industry in the technology that we offer. So with that, I thank you all again for spending some time with us this afternoon or morning, depending on where you are. If you have questions, you want to talk to anyone more about SunWest or any of our technology, just let Morgan know. As Pavan said, you can ask Morgan any of those questions that you do have. You can also provide your contact information if you'd like to speak with someone over the phone directly. So we look forward to hearing from you. Happy to answer any questions that you guys have. But with that, thank you all for joining and enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Cheers.